All right, Nick, let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. I think coming into this week 4 game against the Kansas City Chiefs, probably the biggest game, definitely the biggest game of the season so far for the Chargers. This is a true titan of a team in the Chiefs, and it's an important matchup for them. And they've just gotten some really good news heading into this matchup. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. Nick, as I alluded to, the Chargers got some really great news heading into this matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Because if one side has an excellent quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, the other side is going to have their other excellent quarterback to battle him out. Let's get into the article and we'll talk about it more on the other side. This is from NFL.com. Justin Herbert's abbreviated appearance in Los Angeles' Week 3 loss to Pittsburgh might not keep him out of the action in Week 4. Herbert was officially limited in the Chargers' Wednesday practice due to an ankle injury suffered in Week 2 and delivered some mildly encouraging news regarding the ailment afterward. Says it's better than where we were last week. I think it's progressing, Herbert said. It was just really painful during the game, the buildup from the hits, the toll on it, but I think at this point I've done a good job of rehabbing it, of getting treatment on it. I think we're taking steps forward. Of course, he's talking about taking steps forwards as to playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, which, with some of the other injuries that are stacked up on this team, I think it's absolutely crucial to have Herbert play in this game against the Chiefs. Nick, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this one, but before we get to you, Nick, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, I've talked about this game about 5 times now, so might as well tell us what are your thoughts on this game. Let's say Herbert is playing. What do you think the final score of the Chargers versus Kansas City is in the comment section below? But Nick, nonetheless, what do you think about this excellent news for the Chargers?
I think it's great news that he's limited and that he's leaning towards playing, but I kind of take an opposite approach. I kind of hope he doesn't play against the Kansas City Chiefs. We know this team has got a lot of injuries. Offensive line, you look at a guy like Joe Alt, of course. You look at defensively, Bosa, Derwin James is suspended, not shaping up to be an outstanding matchup here for the Chargers against a good Chiefs team, but a very inconsistent in terms of certainly beatable Chiefs team. I think they trailed in the second half or very close to trailing in the second half of all 3 of their victories up to this point. But still, if you go through 4 games and you come out of week 4, 2-2 with Herbert healthy, not rushing him back too early, I almost think that's the ideal. So I think what the Chargers fans should really focus on here is that Herbert's injury doesn't appear to be long lasting beyond this week. And that to me is the most important thing. We know the Chargers weren't coming into the season to try and go 14-3 or 13-4. Heck, they probably weren't trying to go in the season and win 11, 12 games. If they're going to sneak into the playoffs, it was going to be a 9 or 10 win team as they try and set the foundation for future massive seasons in the future. Let's be totally honest. That's what the strategy was, right? We know the Chiefs are slowly on the decline. The Bills and the AFC slowly on the decline. This was not exactly the Chargers year, but I think 2025 and beyond certainly will be. Now, all that being said, you don't want to throw away the season, of course, but you don't want to risk Herbert's career or risk the success of this plan that Harbaugh is running into right now by rushing Herbert back too early. So again, I hope he doesn't play. I hope they rest him, treat it as almost a mini bye as they get into a deeper part of their schedule of winnable games. Again, they have the bye after this week. You get 2 full weeks off of Herbert. Then you go Denver, Arizona, New Orleans, Cleveland, Tennessee. There's winnable football games there before you go Cincinnati, Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City. And then you finish with a lot of really winnable games. Denver, New England, Vegas, Tampa on December 15th before that. So at this point in my mind, if you're the Chargers, if you're Herbert, if you're Harbaugh, this whole team, you want to get to 6-7 or 7-6 with those 4 games to go. And rushing Herbert back too early impedes that goal. I think it's great news that the injury isn't severe. That's the most important thing, but I wouldn't rush him back here.
Yeah, Nick, and I definitely hear what you say about that, and I think it's a really good strategy. And I'll just talk about the reality of what would happen if Herbert didn't play. The reality is the Chargers aren't in too bad of a spot. They've done a great job getting to 2-1 right now. I think if we're being realistic, if Herbert does not play, there's a very steep chance of the Chargers going out and beating the Kansas City Chiefs. I know they've got a great, rough and tumble run the ball strategy, but with Rashawn Slater likely being out, with Joe Alt likely being out, and Herbert potentially being out, it would be a tough team to go up and get a win, especially since the Kansas City Chiefs seem to find a way to win tight games every single week somehow. But nonetheless, if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, they did lose, I don't think 2-2 is a bad way to be at the beginning of this very volatile season for a whole lot of teams, especially in that division. But I really look forward to week 5, the bye for the Chargers. So if they were to rest the Chargers, I do agree with you. I think it's more of the long-term play. If they rest Herbert, the Chargers are looking forward to the rest of this season. They want to get this
And it's
team.
one of those. Sorry, did I cut you off there?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you brought up the fact long season, right? We're heading into the 4th game of a 17-game season. You look at teams that made some noise in the postseason last year. You look at a team like the Packers, they made a run. A lot of people had the Bills counted out last year before they made the postseason, won their division, won a playoff game. I think they were a losing team 13 games into the season. The most important part for this first month is you don't want to lose your entire hopes for the season with a lot of dumb injuries that become long-term. I think the fact that both tackles are beat up, rest them, sit them, rest Herbert, get everybody scored away through the bye week, and then get ready to make your move heading into week 6.
Yeah, Nick, if we look at the rest of the schedule, I think week 12 really is the, start of that brutal schedule. The Harbaugh matchup against the two brothers, Ravens versus Chargers. But through that point, the next 6 games, Broncos, don't think they're necessarily world beaters after week 5. Cardinals are up and down. They are feisty as well. Saints, I don't think we really know who the Saints are yet. I think by the time week 8 rolls around, we'll have a better picture of who exactly they are. The Browns, bad team. Titans, bad team. Bengals, I don't know if they're necessarily a good team. I wouldn't necessarily call them a bad team yet, but I think that's a question as well. So there's a lot of time for this team to get some easy wins building up into that week 12. So I think this is a great spot for the Chargers to be in. And the more we talk about it, the more I kind of lean towards what you're saying. I think the best long-term strategy for this season would probably be to rest Herbert and go into week 6 the strongest possible.